There we go. What's up?
Hey, what's up? How are you?
Yeah, good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Over
I'm
here.
just here for Menelik. He'll be here momentarily.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Don't mind me.
Yeah.
I just Menelik. Yeah, I scared him. I said, not to look at me. I'm not here. You have to get me online now.
Okay. Enrico, what's going on, man?
Everything's fine, man. Everything's great.
Spent 20 minutes in traffic just trying to get home from like 2 blocks away. It was brutal. So recording's up. You guys are good whenever you're ready.
So yeah. Welcome everybody. I see we're having a bunch of more people in here than in other Zooms, which is great. Today we're gonna have David Gale present. He's been a coach in the G League, and last season he coached, or 2 seasons actually, he coached in Germany for Ludwigsburg as an assistant coach in the BBL with the pros and as a head coach with the under-19. We got to know each other first in actually the lower men's league, which his under-19 team played in. And he's been doing a really, really good job out of here. Actually, his team was on his way to become the German champion in the under-19. He was the coach of the year, but the season got cut short because of COVID. But yeah, so he's just gonna basically present about differences and his experiences coming over from the US to Germany, to Europe. So go ahead, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Enrico. I'm just gonna jump right into to share the screen.
Oh, let me just say one thing I forgot. If there are any questions, just put them right into the chat. I will stop and David will answer anything that you have.
Sorry, guys. Just give me one sec. Okay. Can everyone still hear me? Good.
You're good, sir.
Cool. Sorry, just having some technical issues here. There we go. Okay, perfect. So, I'm going to talk mainly, like Enrico said, about my time in Europe, but kind of the differences of what I came over with thinking would work. I spent 11 years in the NBA. So I was with the Clippers for 4 years in the video room. And then I moved over to the Raptors during the lockout of 2011. And I was there in that organization for 6 seasons. And then after we won the D-League at that point, the last D-League championship, I went to Philadelphia and was with the 87ers for 1 year. And then I came over to Germany 2 years ago. So I've had the ability to, and then as you can see behind me, I played at Loyola Chicago. So I've kind of been at, I've had the ability to learn from a lot of different coaches, a lot of really, really good coaches, and be around some great players. So I had some ideas of what I thought would work when I came over. And then, of course, you learn a lot. And we'll see here in the first slide. I wanted to put it in here because I think as I mentioned, I've been around a lot of really, really good coaches. So I've learned something different from all of them. And I don't have John Patrick on there, who I most recently worked for. And John, I learned a lot from John as well. But, I think the main similarity to me between the NBA or North American basketball and European basketball is really in the teaching. I think there's, of course, differences in the game, the differences in the style of play, and we'll get into that. And I've got a ton of examples here because I think a lot of people, I've been on a lot of these calls and clinics, and I think everyone wants to see examples, and video is much more engaging. But for me, the main constant in my thought process before I came over and after I came over was really, you see it from there, Dwayne Casey, consistency. I think consistency is the key to everything you do. So being, every day, the order you put your practice in is going to determine the importance in your players' minds of what you're teaching them. How much you hit on certain things, they're going to take that key from you. What's the most important thing for them? I think extreme positivity for your players. I think, especially with the younger age group, the under 19 kids, I was lucky enough to have an amazing team, amazing group of players. But positivity, I've been around a lot of guys that aren't very positive and a lot of guys that are very positive. And I think, to me, the positivity, it just rubs off on your guys. And confidence. Confidence is not a quantifiable thing, right? But if you don't have confidence, your players are not going to be successful. So being positive with your guys, I think I got a lot of that from Coach Nurse, from Jerry Stackhouse. Stack would call himself a ambivalent dictator. So it was his way, but then at the end of the day, he was going to hug you and let you know how much he loved you. And guys like Billy Bano and Jesse Mermis, who you see on the screen here, Eric Hughes, Vinny Del Negro was huge on family. These guys building relationships, dedicating yourself to your craft and letting these players know how much you care about them. So I think, to me, that's one thing that works across the board. America, Europe, Canada, whatever country you're coaching in. And then again, when you're building your team, I think team building activities are absolutely crucial. I think letting your players know how much you care about them, like I said. Then, going along with that, some new thoughts I had once I came over. I think you have to really, once you get to control your own team and decide what you guys are working on, what you're doing, I've realized I think you have to give your guys at least one day off a week. Mental rest, at least one day a week. And then I think one of your practices each week should really be a much lighter shooting, camaraderie, if you will, kind of practice. So we were able to find a real good, consistent schedule because of the way the schedule is in Europe, where you play every weekend for the most part. But really, every Wednesday for us was a shooting out of our sets, but really kind of like a rehab day. And I think, especially if you're coaching younger kids or G League guys who are kind of becoming pros, it's really important to let them have those days where they can kind of be in the gym, still be around the team, still learning, still working on their craft, but mentally it's a lot easier on them. I came up in the video room with Mike Dunleavy and Coach Casey. I think I've learned, and maybe it's a modern thing, modern player, less is more when it comes to film. So finding more ways to get your message across to your guys. Maybe in the film room, you're only in there for 10, 15 minutes. 5-10 clips on offense, 5-10 clips on defense. Boom, you hit them with it, especially when you've got, again, like these younger guys. They've been in a classroom all day long. They don't want to sit in another classroom. They want to get on the court. They want to play. So finding ways to share your message. We were able to use Huddle, send clips to our guys through that. And then you can track who's watched it. When I was with the 87ers, we created a private YouTube channel because we didn't have access to Huddle yet. And so we were sending our guys stuff on there. I know in the NBA, you can put it on iPads and send it to them overnight. They watch it on their own. Finding ways to reach your guys in ways that they can relate to. So I used Instagram to send them stuff. I think it's just, you don't want to be in a classroom with these guys. They want to get on the court. Couple other things that I learned since I've been in Europe, more competition, more playing, more live action. So I do think it's really, really important to drill your stuff in certain ways. And I've spoken on this on other clinics where you do 3-on-3 stuff, you do 4-on-4 stuff, you do breakdowns, but always finding a way to then translate it into going live and letting them compete and building that competitive mindset. One thing we did not do in North America with any team I was with, any team I played on really, was the amount of footwork John Patrick instilled in our program. So ladder drills, different bounding stuff that you would maybe call American football stuff or soccer stuff as well. Like we did it on the basketball court. So I think that was a huge help to our guys, especially the way we wanted to play, excuse me. And then another thing was, I think, less scouting and more focusing on yourself. So of course it's important once you get to the playoffs and once you get to seeing the same team over and over, you're of course going to need to scout them and know some plays. But I came in from the video room again, from the NBA, where scouting is really, really important. And I think you're seeing that trend across the board in North America as well. Less scouting, more focusing on yourself and being great at what you do, and then hitting on few key points from the teams you're going to face. So I'll jump to the next slide here. Some of the things you need to know that I didn't really understand or I learned on the fly once I got over there. The rule differences, of course. So these are very obvious things for some people. For others, once you get to FIBA, right, less timeouts. 2 timeouts in the first half, 3 timeouts in the second half total. Coming from college, where I think it's overkill, especially I didn't play very much in college, so sitting on the bench and having to stand up every 4 minutes was not fun. I think it's too much. It slows the game down. And then the NBA, you've got a lot more timeouts, especially in the G League. You've got the reset timeout. You can use your timeouts as challenges. So it's just learning the different system once you have to come over. The unsportsmanlike foul, I think, is something that is overdone, especially in Germany. But it's something you have to learn how to teach, because if you watch in North America, some of you guys have been watching the TBT, I'm sure lately, they just take breakaway fouls. You just take the foul to stop the play. And I'll never forget the first game I was coaching in a tournament in Munich. My guy tried to poke the ball away from behind, and they called an unsportsmanlike foul. So it's just learning the differences once you get over. Substitution patterns, 5 fouls versus 6. That's an obvious one. No defensive 3 seconds allows you to do some of the things I'm going to show on film later in this. The 10 minutes versus 12-minute quarters. When you have a team like I had this year, it's very difficult to find minutes for a lot of the guys. So being creative with stuff like that. And then one thing that it kind of sticks out that maybe people don't think of is many more opportunities on the baseline out of bounds. When you're in North America, a lot more sideline out of bounds. So you have to be more creative, and you see some of that stuff. You watch teams like Real Madrid, you watch Fenerbahce, you watch Žalgiris, who I put an example of Žalgiris, how they get creative with stuff here. Much more, many more opportunities, I should say, on the baseline. And then a couple just general concepts here to talk about. In the NBA, right, the offense starts way higher. Teams running into their sets, flowing into it from behind half court. And you'll see, that's one thing I brought over with me, and I think it works. Playing with pace, playing much faster, and I think that's an analytics thing. From some people I've talked to, I think it's really a thing that teams in the U.S. have focused much more on analytics, and they've employed analytics specialists. And in Europe, you just don't have the budget for that with most clubs. So I think the pace is huge. More threes, different types of spacing in the NBA. And then in Europe, one thing I think is, you'll see off-ball cutting and stuff like that, and I'll hit on that. But to me, the defense starts way higher in Europe. You're much more aggressive. You're pressing. Your shell defense is way extended. And in the NBA, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I think you can get away with certain things, and you'll see some teams are doing it. But I think the aggressiveness on defense, we were able to really play extremely aggressive with the amount of subs we could make and the length we had on defense and the activity we had to be one of the reasons we were very successful. I think one of the other things, the reasons why there's not as much pace and not as many threes taken, I think you have some older coaches. This is just a personal opinion. Some older coaches who like to have more control over the game in Europe. And in the NBA, I think coaches are more willing to trust the players than maybe some of the older European coaches are. And again, that's just a personal opinion, but it's something I've noticed. The younger coaches in Europe are more willing to play fast. And then here, this is my last slide before I get into some of the video stuff. Like I said, pace of play, analytics. The US, you really have one big now, small ball. A lot of teams in Europe still play with 2 bigs. You'll see I get into it. And Enrico, you talked about it before we got on here, playing in pistol, playing in open, playing in 5 out. I think that's something I thought would work, and I think it does work. You just don't see a lot of teams in Europe doing it. And then playing positionless basketball, it's a catchy term that everyone uses now, but using your guys as interchangeable pieces. And it's one thing I didn't put in here just because I added a lot of film. And if anyone has any more questions once it's over, I've got more stuff as well. But using your smalls to screen your bigs, posting your smalls and letting your bigs play in the post splits. It's one thing we did really well, and I was lucky again to have Ariel Hukporti, who's a 7-footer who, who knows where he's going to end up in the NBA, but he can be a stretch 5. He can play in the pick and roll. He can handle the ball. He pushes in transition. And I had other guys just like that too. Dayon Bruce, Christy Kotawara, and A.S. Young, who I think are going to be really big in the European game and maybe play college basketball. But these guys are huge, 6'9", 6'10". Let him play in pick and roll. Let him push the break. And I think that's something you don't see as much in Europe, but I think the trend is going that way. And then I think also in North America, you see less fluff, if you will. I think a lot of it has a lot of the Spanish teams especially run that fluff with pace, and so they can make reads out of it. But in the U.S., you just see simpler actions, maybe a stagger into a play, or maybe a pin down or a cross screen, but less movement to get to the action. So that's some of the stuff I had with me before I came over. And then I'll show some examples here of how we did it, where I learned it from, maybe a little bit of the teaching, not too much of it, but a little bit of the teaching of how we get to it. And then some examples in Europe. And then I'll jump into what really the European game I've learned from it and how I think you can translate it. So it's a lot of back and forth, and I hope it makes sense. But we'll jump right into the video here. So you'll see here, I taught the transition stuff the exact same way. This is with the 905 team 4 years ago. This is our preseason. So I hope Coach Stackhouse doesn't get mad at me, but 4 years ago, I think, he's moved on, I've moved on. I think we're okay with it. So here, I learned, we called it the LMU 2.5s. And it's very similar to what we do here. So the pitch ahead, attack the baseline, shot, right? And you'll see we build on this. There's a couple different examples here. So again, now pitch ahead, 5 runs the floor, attack the baseline, swing it. Right now you can go into a dribble handoff, and the spacing's there on the weak side and the bigs and the dunker. And I've kind of tinkered with this a bit in Europe, but I just don't have the film of it, right? So here now they go again, same kind of action. We would go with the exchange on the weak side once we got into the games. This is really early. We were messing with it. But again, a lot of baseline attack the outside, keep the ball moving. You see the exchange there and make the extra pass. I think a lot of the knock on the North American game is the ball doesn't move as much. And I just think it's how you teach it. So, you see here, we taught the ball, keep moving, keep screening away, weak side action. There's a simple one, throw it ahead, get it to the big, but the big's got to run the floor and stretch the defense. But again, to me, it's really, like I said, it's how you teach it. Everything's in the teaching. So that's one similarity I found. Like, no matter what you want to do, the basketball IQ with the young kids in Europe is unbelievable. I was really, truly amazed by it. So that's kind of the breakdown a little bit there. You see the spacing, you see the ball movement, and then I'll show you some game examples here. There's a few more clips here. I apologize. Oh, maybe not. Just replayed. Yeah, so here, now you can see some game examples of how we put into effect what we were doing there in practice. And again, like I said, we did the same thing with the Ludwigsburg team that I coached the last 2 years, and trying to play fast. This is why I think playing fast really works in Europe as well. It just hasn't come to Europe yet. So there you see rim runner. We know they're going to be in the corner. We filled the 245s. We filled the corners. You've got a rim runner. Again, okay, he outruns the defense. the corners filled on the weak side, and we would always crash 3 guys on the glass. So again, Siakam's out running the floor. You've got the trailer at the 45, spread the defense out, push them down, and then I apologize that the 905 film didn't want to cooperate with me in PowerPoint. So we can, hopefully this will keep working. Yeah, there we go. So taking threes in transition, that's something I don't think many teams in Europe I've seen are truly comfortable with doing, like you just saw there. So again, Van Vliet pushes, boom, catch, 3. We're okay with that shot, right? We were okay with that shot because we knew we drilled it. So again, I'm not sure why here this 905 film doesn't want to cooperate with me, but we'll just jump ahead to the pistol actions here. Sorry guys, technical difficulties. So again, the pistol, right? We would flow into our pistol out of our transition. So here you see again the teaching of our pistol. It's 3 guys. We get 3 shots up, hit ahead, hand back, flare, toss it back. We're working on our passes. We're working on our spacing. Okay, and then we would do this a lot, and we give different reads. Maybe it's a flat screen and attack the baseline. Maybe it's a hit ahead and keep it, and he uses the pick and roll. This is just one example of how we drilled it, but then you'll see it in action again, right? So we're getting 3 shots. We're working on our stuff. So here you see pistol, throw ahead. It's the same spacing as we talked about before, right? He hits ahead. You should have 1 big. This guy right here should have been down in the corner, but we throw it ahead. The floor's spread. He attacks. Right? You attack with pace, you play fast. So now again, we just ran that. They think the handoff's coming, attack. Okay? Now we throw it ahead, we hand off, we hand back. There's weak side action. We set the step up, and the big's got no help there to attack the baseline. Now you see it again here. Now it's a flat screen, right? He attacks. The weak side is spread out. We've got our 45 cut, which again, a lot more teams in Europe use the cutting actions, and we'll see that later. And you finish at the rim. Here we go again. Fake the handoff. Everyone's loaded up on the strong side over here, and we've got our best shooter in the corner because the baseline has to come help. He doesn't knock this one down, but I just think, like I said, I think playing fast out of your transition has some relevancy in Europe, and I don't think you see enough teams do it. So here again, it's a little bit off balance. It's in the middle of the court, but he sets the flat screen. The big flares him. We get the weak side action over here with the exchange. And then the stun comes, but he's too late. The 3's there. Again, you see it now. He keeps it, right? He lifts on the weak side. There's no nail help. They keep backing up, floater. And then here's our late game situation, or late quarter. We ran it, and then they expect him to look at the weak side. You see the pin in for our shooter. Instead, the point guard comes right back, right? And he attacks the baseline, and there's no real baseline help because of the weak side action. So that's one way we use the playing fast. Here you'll see we go, it's the same setup as our transition. And Enrico, you talked about this, the 5 out. This is just one look. Fake the screen, slip it, hand back. We get 2 3s out of it and a layup. And the way we would make this competitive is we would usually have 2 groups going at the same time. The layup is only a minus if you miss it, and you've got to make a certain number of 3s. And generally, we would start this from half court. Like I said, in North America, I think teams start it higher, and they flow into it faster. So, again, you get the slip, different finishes, 2 3s out of it, and you can do a million different things out of this. So here you see we flow into it. Our big's in the middle. Exactly, slip it. Layup, 45 cut from the weak side, and the corners are filled. Again, here you see action on both sides. These guys both go pin down. Set the pick and roll, space on the weak side. They don't stop the ball, and the lob is there. Here now we go. You see the 45 cut there on the strong side takes away the help. They're worried about everything, right? Now we go back to the point guard who's gone down, and now he's coming back off a stagger. He's our best shooter on the court. Again, you see 0 cutting, so take away the nail help, and the 5-man just screws up and leaves our best shooter. And my favorite thing of this clip is the assistant coach loses his mind. But this is one of the best examples, right? We threw it ahead, hit our big, swing it. Okay, now we're right into our 5-out spacing. You see the 45 cut again. You see we swing, and then this is the concept we'll talk about later in the clinic. Was playing Spanish teams called next defense. So you see the man right here at the high 45, he's going to run and jump on the ball and just leave the corner. Now we fumble it, but it's a great example. We still get an open 3 out of it. So now you see different ways we have to take advantage of that. A couple more clips. One pin down on one side, flare on the other, and he slips the flare. So I just think you don't really see a lot of teams in Europe play with this 5-out spacing. I think it will come, but again, this is like I said, I think in North America, from what I've seen, it's simpler letting your players make reads. I do think you have teams that do this, but I don't think it's a lot of teams that do it in Europe. You see, again here, now it's just random. He's going to set a flare. He ran through, set a flare, and then slip it. And they mess up the coverage, and you get a wide open layup. And then I think there's a couple more flare for our best shooter. They go under, wide open 3. And then, like I talked about, you have to give your guys the ability. I was really big on shooting threes. Our last game we played, we shot 52 threes. And, you know, I've been in the NBA where the analytics is huge. 52 is a lot. But for a shooter like this guy who made 70 in 40 games, I'm going to live with him taking a pump fake 3. And then, you know, sorry, not sure what happened there. You can see some NBA teams here. I've got some clips. Here's that last clip, and I'll let it just play instead of continue to stop. Here he takes the pump fake, shoots it anyways. Got action on both sides, but I'll live with that. Now you see the NBA teams, and it's a pin down. They don't get it. Action on both sides, cutter, layup. You get the flare, get the handoff, quick swing, and it's just the spacing of it. Now, I don't think this is the only thing teams should run. Like, I'm not a proponent of that, but I think the movement out of it gives your players the ability to feel like they've got buy-in. They're the ones making the reads. And then not just that, it's continuous movement. Continuous movement on both sides. In the NBA, it's much harder. I think you've got just everyone can shoot the ball. In Europe, like I said, some teams are playing with 2 bigs still. But it's a very tough cover once you teach your guys how to run it with a lot of pace and just make it kind of random. You see here, he slips it on the backside, right? You take advantage of switching out of this. You take advantage of a lot of coverages that teams are trying to use to screw up your screens. You're small on big, and instead, look at that. You know, you got onto the Antetokounmpo, this floor is completely spread, and he can just attack because they're so worried about the handoffs and the flares and the slips. I had a European scout say to me, we were talking about some players the other day, and I think this is very
David,
yeah.
I have one question in terms of teaching that. I know a lot of times with pros, it's fairly easy to go through things on 0 and they pick it up. How did you do it with a lot of these young guys? Did you give them options and 3-on-3 stuff or 4-on-4 stuff where they go through options first, or how did you go about it?
So again, this is something I learned. It was from Coach Nurse, and then it went to Jerry Stackhouse. We would do elbow splits at that point. You know, if you watch the Dallas Mavericks when they won it, it was all elbow splits on the strong side. So just as a background for it, we would do 3-on-0 a lot, and then maybe 4-on-0, and you dictate what they have to do to kind of teach them, especially the young guys, teach them the different options. Because if you just say, hey, you can do this or this or this, they're going to do the same thing over and over. So we would do, that would be like a pre-practice drill before we stretched. And we would do, you know, like the one read I showed, and then we would do a different read and probably do 3 to 4 of them and have them make 15 to 20 shots out of each one. So you're already getting like 80 makes before your practice even starts, and you're showing them the different options. And then we would go to 3-on-3 in practice. And I would say no dribbles or one dribble. And we're playing out of one dribble or no dribble. So they have to continue to move. It can't just become one-on-one pick and roll. We would do our shell, and it would be no pick and rolls, and it would be live. So they have to continue to then make these cuts and these reads we've done in the pre-practice. And it's just a buildup. And then we would get to our 5-on-5, and I would say, okay, we're going to go open. You can make any reads you want. No pick and rolls allowed, right? Or 3 dribbles. And then, but eventually you get to just playing live with 0 constraints out of it, but you built it up the whole practice. But I do think it's a funny question because David McRae asked me that the other day. And he was my assistant all year, and now he's coaching the same team, but it's the younger kids coming up. And he was like, man, I had to show them everything, every single cut. Yeah, they don't know it until you teach it. You know it, but they don't know it. So you have to really do every option, and then they can start to make the reads out of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Something I had to learn as well. So again, like the scout said to me, European offense is predicated on moving and cutting to get the best shot. NBA offense is predicated on getting your best player a shot, right? So I think that's one of the main differences you see, and why you see more movement and more ball movement. I think the best teams, the Spurs were the best team at it for a very long time. And I think you see more teams now, the top teams in the league, and those are the teams I've used examples for here. The Bucks, the Nuggets, the Raptors, the Celtics, the Heat, those teams really sure they have sets that they want to get their players shots in. And I think that's always necessary. But I think at the same time, the ball is going to find your best players. No matter what you run, you could run open the whole game. Like I showed with the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard's still going to get his 20 shots. Somehow it's going to happen. So I think that's one thing that I was lucky enough to come over working for Jerry Stackhouse, working for Nick Nurse when he was an assistant with the Raptors, and learning how to teach that stuff and teach the importance of sharing the ball. So this, I believe, is maybe the last clip I have offensively of how we taught it. But this was one thing that we used with Coach Stack, and then I did it 2-3 times a week to instill ball movement in our guys. So the drive, this is a slot cut, respace, get 3 guys shots again, and we called it drive, kick, swing. And a lot of people call it drive, kick, swing. But you get the slot cut, extra pass, respace. I saw Coach Messina said the other day, and Pick and Pop on Twitter reposted it. Spacing, respacing is like getting out of the water to breathe, right? So I like that one. I was always taught, you have to respace as quickly as you got it. Get in as quickly as you got out. And that's what I've always said to the guys. So you see it here with us. Boom, he cuts. Okay, now he respaces back to the top. We call it toss game there. And the ball just keeps moving. And I've got examples of just the drive, kick, swing. But I think the whole point of what I'm trying to say here is that you teach the ball movement, and then it's in your guys' heads. Like, this is a bad set. It was an idea we tried out of post splits, but the ball keeps moving because you've instilled in your players that it doesn't matter who gets the shot. The ball needs to find someone, right? Find an open man. Here's a trap, right? This is a preseason game. We push it fast. You see my guy was under the hoop. He respaces to the 3. The ball moved, bang, 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 wide open 3. Right now you run it out of an Iverson cut. Okay, we move on the backside, drive, kick, swing, get an open 3 out of it. And it, again, like I said, it doesn't matter who shoots it. But that's kind of what you're instilling by teaching those drills. So you'll see it here. This was with the 905 team. And this is where I say, like, I take a little bit of umbrage to it when people talk about how the G League is not a very good league. I think there's a lot of very good teams in the G League. And we had Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Eddie Tavares, Bruno Caboclo, CJ Leslie, Brady Heslip, Axel Tupain, Pascal or Jakob Pertl. We were loaded, so we were a really good team. We got lucky with stuff like that. But you can see it here. You'll see the ball moves. We set the back screen with the shooter. We had our post splits action, and you saw it drive, kick, swing, extra pass, right? And it's unselfishness. And you're teaching this unselfishness through your drills. I'm hoping that it starts playing again. Yeah, again, I'm not sure why this 905 film didn't want to cooperate. Here's another clip. We ran pistol, drive, kick, swing, extra shot. And so it's really like, I'm trying to share that, like, I learned this from the NBA, and I know a lot more European teams use this action, and you'll see it here, some Euroleague clips. But I do think it's becoming more and more common in North America that the ball moves a lot better and the bodies move a lot better. Olympiacos is, again, one of the teams I haven't watched a ton of, but they move the ball up the court much better and play a lot faster than a lot of European teams I've seen. Again, you get the drive, the extra pass, the ball doesn't stop moving, close out, kick it again, drive it again, kick it again, right? They use the whole clock. That's great. It's beautiful basketball. And this is more what you see in Europe. And I think it's unbelievable how the offense, like I said, the scout told me, is run to get the best shot, not to get your best player a shot. And it's just pure unselfishness. And it's great coaching guys like this, because they understand the shot clock's not the most important thing. You know, get an open shot, get a good look, find the open man. And so there's some examples for that I found through Euroleague that are just great. So then I'm going to get more into some other things that I think that's some, like, overall concepts of how the ball moves, you know, share the basketball, play fast. I think some of the things I've seen, like, are very conceptual in Europe, and I really love, and I did some of them, and the next opportunity I have, I will do more of them. As you know, everyone's had time over this break to watch a ton of film and to learn some new things. But some of them I put here, right? Pick and roll spacing, reading the roller, static spacing, which I think you see a lot of teams in the NBA, versus active spacing, which is cutting, slot cuts, baseline cuts. I think we did some of that, and I think we could do a better job of it. But just basically weak side movement instead of what you see maybe with teams like Houston, or you know, some other teams where they really stand a lot and keep the floor spread. You know, it works, but I think there's more to you get more looks out of the cutting. Driver relocation, like I said, weak side movement, slot cuts, baseline cuts, putting pressure on the paint to pull the defense in. To me, offense is all body movement and ball movement, collapsing the defense, respacing the defense, recollapsing the defense. And you can do that with a cut as well as you can with a post up and a drive. Post splits, I think the NBA teams do it, and we did it in Toronto with the strong side action split and the slot cut and the lift. I just think you see teams in Europe do a lot more actions out of the post splits, and I'll show some of those, and I think they're great. And then you get one of the things that I think works in the NBA, it works at the youth level, it works in the Euroleague, is the elbow high splits. And I'll show a lot of examples of that. And it's one thing I really, really love. And it's one thing I've seen more and more teams doing. Miami is great at it. Bayern Munich runs it a ton for Lucic, and it's a great action. And I think it causes confusion with switches. And then lastly, one thing that Nick Nurse always told me, he said, you should change the tag guy. And I didn't use examples of his because he uses the same offense still, the examples I have, so I didn't want to do that. But what I mean by that is shift the defense, maybe send a cutter through, maybe run the same set with different guys screening, different guys in different spots, and you change the tag or they change the help guy, and it creates a different option for you. So here you'll see, Ryan Pannone pointed this one out to me with Fenerbahce, and we'll see some examples from other teams here as well. The follow behind is not a crazy idea. I think everyone teaches it, but you'll see some of these teams in Europe really, really, really pull behind the ball. and put a strain on the low tag man and the high tag man. And these are examples going at the one side. So I learned, and I was a big fan of going away from the one side, creating a single side tag. And now I think some of these examples you see here, it's really, really good stuff of going at the one side right here. And you see the man pull all the way up top, and it creates a strain on the tag guy. So you see it again here, right? The pull behind, they're going at the one side. He back cut. The high tag guy, his man pulls right behind the ball, and you get a wide open shot. I do think Fenerbahce is the best I've seen at it. So again, go with the one side, stretch out the defense on the back, pull behind, make the tag guys figure out what they want to do. So now you hit the weak side corner. They're so spread out, but it's active spacing, right? You see a post splits here. You see a pick and roll. Okay, now you're going to see the high 45 guy pull behind. They have to make a decision, and he gets a layup because nobody stops the ball. See it again here. Go at the one side, pull all the way behind the ball, and now you can't tag because you don't know where number 9 is at, and you get a wide open dunk, right? It puts a strain, and it's something that I had been taught the follow behind, but not to this extent, right? Follow behind, boom, wide open at the top of the key. And again, I talked to the same scout, and he said Obradovic has been unbelievable at this his whole career. The guys at the free throw line, what's he going to do? Does he take the roller? Does he take the corner? And now you get the kick, and it's still a pretty good closeout. And to the point of all this, I was always taught when we did it with 905, we always set a flare screen on the 2 side if we were going at the 1. And our idea behind it was you always know where your guys are going to be. You're going to get a corner fill, and you're going to get a slot pull behind. Now, with this, you don't know where they're going to be, but that's okay. You know, the way they teach it, I think, again, it comes back to how you're going to teach it. But this action, to me, just puts such a strain on the defense. And you're spreading them out, especially if you get a good roller. Now you see it out of an Iverson cut. He pulled the same guy who Iverson cut, pulls back behind, and there's no one to help in the corner on Laverne. Again, now they run it right back at him. Valencia pulls behind, and you get the same look out of it. So I think this is something, you know, I've really learned in Europe. Now, again, he pulls behind, but now the roller just seals his man super deep in the paint. So you're going to get different looks out of this stuff. I would recommend watching Fenerbahce a ton because their point guards do a great job of beating the bigs around the corner and creating a 2-on-1 on the backside without cutting. Now you see here, I believe that's Olympiacos going out Bayern Munich. They pull behind. They're so worried about the tag, get a wide open look. And then Bayern does it right back at them, right? Monroe rolls, Hustis pulls behind, and they're worried about Hustis, and they don't really take the roller. So, I think you see Kaponen pulling behind here, searching, hunting the shot. This is in the BBL tournament a couple weeks ago. And Derek Willis doesn't really tag, but then you get a deep seal because it's a late closeout. So, and then again, runs it right back at Bayern. Follow behind and you look to attack out of it. So I just think running these actions, there's so many ways to create mismatches. And I think this active spacing is something that I'm really a big fan of, and you don't see a ton of this in North America from my experience. Now, to the same point, like I said, I was always taught to go at the single side. I really liked going away from the single side. So you can see the same thing. Now they go at the 2, and the Tommy waits to lift. He stays in the corner, he waits, lets his man pull in, and then he still lifts way behind. Now this one, again, not a crazy idea, but the timing of when you do it, you see they delay it. They know they're lifting late, and you get a wide open look because you let the tag man believe you're going to stay in there. Again, Hollins pulls in. He doesn't stay long enough because he sees the lift, and you get a dunk out of it. So I think you can do it both ways. It's just, now you get the single side pull behind. So to me, this concept is really, really good. I know I'm repeating myself a bit, but I think this is something that can be taught. Now here, Valencia gets really aggressive. They hit the roller and the Tommy lifts on the single side. So now you got to really make an example. They short roll it with the super aggressive team here, right? Now they throw it back and just skip it to the single side. So there's many ways to get these looks, and it's just keeping the opponent on their feet. So you see again, single side, boom, follow behind, put a strain on the tag. So this is a way, I think, to incorporate what I've always liked just in a different way, rather than having them hang in the corner or stay at the 45. So then we'll see here one concept. If you have your bigs, if you want to have your bigs pop, right? This is one that I John Patrick really taught, and I think it's more advantageous when you have a big that can shoot, of course, and it's really good when you play teams that are in a drop. Really good when you play teams that are in a drop. So here we ran it out of, I call it twist. We rescreen, right? So Ariel rescreens. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Ariel rescreens here. You have your 45 guy. As he pops, the 45 guy is going to cut and take away the stunt man. So there's no help. Ariel, once he develops the right hand, will attack right. He attacks the big, and he's pretty damn good. So you get here again the pop, and right here, the help man can't help. He cuts. You get a wide open look for your popping big. You'll see it again here, right? They want to ice. We pop. We cut the 45. My man should have kicked it to the top for the wide open look. He splits the defense instead. But this is kind of the idea, right? Especially when teams will ice you or down you or blue you, whatever, push it, whatever you want to call it, right? So you get your next guy to cut, take away the stunt. Maybe he even gets it, and you should get very good looks from the three-point line. Pick and pop in the horn set is really basically this idea. So I show one example here. They're so worried about 13 cutting, Ariel gets the wide open look at the top of the key. And then you'll see some Euroleague teams. Valencia is really, really good at doing this. Especially they've got a guy, Mike Toby. Eddie Tavares, who I coached, is dropping. If you watch the help side guy, he's so worried about his man cutting. Mike Toby gets a wide open look. And you'll see a lot of examples here. Again, like I said, Valencia took advantage of Real Madrid's bigs dropping. So worried about the corner cut. He doesn't even know. Campazzo has no idea where he went. Now, he recovers great. But just the idea, the concept of getting your guys, again, baseline cut. They're so worried about it, wide open at the top of the key. So we called it pop and dive. I was in Toronto, we said, cut the stunt man, right? So stunt, boom, cut him. The big was wide open up top. But again, you get these looks. Now Real Madrid did it right back at him. Anthony Randolph, pop, cut number 14. Not a great look, but he's got time to get it off. So again, this is a concept I don't think you see a ton of in North America. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but I see it's very prevalent here. So you see they were lifting behind. Now Derek Williams pops, and you still cut him, and there's no help. So worried about the cut. Again, this is, the cutters in Europe, I think is just, you see 4 going low in the short or sneak spot. You see 25 spreading the defense to give the same idea of the dive, and there's no help on the pop. Here you see Baskonia, they're going to do it, right? Pop, big man dives. They can't, it's not very quick, but it's enough time to get the shot off. Now, again, you see here, Derek Willis, Schilling dives. They hedged it, super aggressive. So you can do it against a drop. You can do it against an aggressive defense, right? I just think it's a concept that I really like when you have a popping big. Now, another way, now if you have a roller, and again, let's see if this 905 film cooperates. When I came over to Europe, I was huge. I truly believed in it. Any interview I had before I came over, I wanted to use a hammer screen. We call it a hammer screen. You can call it a flare screen on the pick and roll. So you can see it here in the pick and roll. Apologize there. In this pick and roll, reuse it. The corner man is going to flare Brady Heslip to the corner. As the roll happens, 7 gets nailed in the back, wide open threes. So, of course, that's the one example that might work here. But we were doing that nonstop, right? Every time there was a pick and roll going at the one side rather than the follow behind, we would set the hammer screen. And again, this is just something that European basketball has opened my eyes up to, doing it a different way, really doing it a different way. So you'll see with us, with the U19 team this year, we were really big on having the slot cut in a pick and roll if you're going at 2 side. So this example right here is not great, but you'll see the 45 guy. Oh, sorry, this is a baseline cut out of the roller. I apologize. So this is something that I think I will really try and incorporate wherever I go next. So as the roller rolls and you're going at the one side, the baseline man here is going to cut. And again, it's just another way to put a strain on the defense. So he cuts, he rolls, zips or cuts. The high slot guy fills to the corner. And it's just another strain on the 2 side, another active way to space the court, right? So it's one thing I've seen over here a lot, and I think it's probably been here for a while, but it's boom, they're aggressive. The tag man's there. You'll see most NBA teams just keep him in the corner. Here you have him cut. He gets a layup out of it. Now you'll see some examples, I think, coming up where he cuts, they take the cutter, and you get the slot guy filling to the corner, and you get an open 3. So again, here, it's the baseline cut. The slot guy fills corner, space the defense out, make them make a decision. Again, right here, okay? Slot guy cuts. The high guy tags because they've exchanged on the weak side, so they're not sure who the tag man is. You see they set a down screen here. Down screen. So now, I think that's Hernan Gomez. He thinks he's the tag. He comes in instead of the low man tagging, and you get an open 3 because they cut the baseline. Now, the one thing it does take away a little bit is your drive, kick, swing action, but I think that you can still pull the point guard over. Again, baseline cut. They drop to take the cutter, and you give Campazzo a wide open 3. So, like I said, I'm not saying which way is right or wrong, but I think this right here, when you have a roller, the highest points per possession shot in basketball is a layup at the rim. So we can talk all we want about threes. If you're going to get a layup out of a backdoor cut, uncontested, it's still the highest points per possession shot in the game. And then you saw there's Jalgiris slid to the corner. Again, now you run it out of different actions. Boom, roller, cutter, dunk. Okay. So I think you don't have to, you can still get a lot of threes. You don't just have to sit at the 3-point line. Derek Williams cuts, wide open 3, because they have to make a decision. Couple more examples here of it. Roller, baseline cut, wide open 3. So I think you'll see some NBA teams do it here, but it's a little, this is what I think you see more of in the NBA. Hit the cutter or hit the roller and you stay spaced. Now that's not a great example where he could have cut anyways, but it's just, this is what you're seeing more of in the NBA, right? Because there's such a push to shoot so many threes. Boom, drive, kick, swing, technically, and you get an open look. And I'm not saying which is right or wrong, but I think there's more ways to do it than just standing around the 3-point line. Okay. Okay, maybe this will work with our weak side hammer action. Yeah, you see EJ Singler coming out of the corner here. This is going at the 2. And we drive and we get an open 3 because we know we're spaced over there. We're an active drive playing off the catch. Okay, good. You see some more examples. So we would, attack. Number 3, EJ Singler's hammering Brady Heslip, opens up the nail. All right, so again, there's a lot of different ways to do this stuff. Here we go. EJ Singler coming in again to hammer Brady Heslip. DeLon Wright's driving. He knows we're going to get an open 3 from Heslip over there, right? It's just ways to shift the defense and to open up your nail. Here we see the back cut, some action. Boom. Jared Uthoff flares Axel Dupont. Okay, gets an open look in the corner. So like I told you, when I came over, I would have said, this is how I want to do it. This is always how I want to do it. I know it works. I think the stuff I've seen since I got to Europe is really, really good. This is one, again, here, the slot cut. Okay, so we ran our horn side action, going at the 2 side. Now we're going to cut this 45 guy. And when I got there, I said, that's crazy. Where is he cutting to? He's just going to junk everything up. But because most teams, this is your help side guy, right? So he cuts, he screens his own, and he screens the low man in a way, you get a wide open look out of it. So the clips I found, we didn't have a ton of success with it, making shots, but we got wide open looks. So now I have my 5-man up, Ariel, we lift out of the corner, and you just catch teams sleeping out of this stuff. I think there's, again, if I were to do it again, I would probably have the baseline guy cut more and the 45 guy space. But I like this action, right? Because you see here, number 9's back is turned as Ariel, who's the most dangerous guy on the court in almost every scenario, is rolling to the rim, and they're not worried about him because you slot cut. Again, we see slot cut. They're so worried about the roller in the help here. One of our best shooters lifts and is wide open. We see it here. It's very slow, but he's cutting on the backside, pinning down instead of hammering. He attacks and misses the layup, but really wide open 3 if we make the right kick out. So again, these are clips I would have taught our guys with. So now you get the action here, you get Ariel pulling, and you get the single side tag look. And they're so worried about the backside action that you get your best player on a catch and attack. 45 cut. Now here's the one I thought you would never really get. We hit the guy. He just goes up soft and gets a beat. But you see many different looks. You can get so many things. Okay, now we hit the lift. We respace on the drive. 7 lifted and then slid again, and you get a wide open 3 out of it. So there's so many ways to do this stuff. I think here you see this one in the NBA. You do see the slot cut, but you see it more at that pace right there, right? You see it more as you attack, playing off the catch is what teams would call it there, catch and attack, rather than cutting through for the catch, right? So you see here, Zach LaVine, this is actually a pretty good example of it. Zach LaVine, as it drives, he starts to slide and cut, and they do some great interior passing, but I think it's more in transition, you're going to get that cut more often than teams doing it on their own in the half court. But I think you see Lucius here cuts. We'll get to the defense pretty soon. We're supposed to switch this slot cut here, and we don't switch it. We don't communicate, and Lucic is wide open under the rim, and they cut again. You see here, horn side look. He continues to curl down. He screens his own, and you get an open 3 out of it. So I think going at that 2 side and cutting the 45 guy is a great option to free something up, right? They're so worried here. He's going to continue to attack, and Davies is going to get a hell of a pass. But it opens things up, right? Now, this is an interesting one I thought Tenerife did. They screen the post guy to try and get him to turn the corner. Barcelona knows it's coming. They load up like crazy. And then they 45 cut, and they get a lift 3 and a pass and follow. So they did it throughout this game, try and get a low pick and roll, force a switch. They don't switch it. They just get aggressive, and then your so this level of movement with most teams, right? So here, high nail help, slot cut, boom, hit him late. And this is one thing we tried to do. Lucic is really, really, players, I think, from what I've seen, are great at moving without the basketball and just having high basketball IQ. But they slot cut, no nail help because they're worried about the slot cut. And Bayern is one of the teams in our league, I think, that does it best. Bartel cuts, boom, wide open kick out three. So it's something that I thought was counter intuitive to spacing, but you get these great layups out of it. And again, if you're going to get layups and threes are what you're looking for. So we'll see if this works. I got a couple more examples offensively here. So this is what we really did with the 905 team. We would throw it in the post. We would go splits on the strong side. We would cut the 45 guy and we'd lift the backside. And I think this works. We did it with the team here, with my young team, and it works. And then you just, you get a shot out of there. You'll see, yeah, good. Okay, it's working. You'll get some examples. Brady Heslip, boom, you slip it when you don't come together. And I just think it takes advantage of teams messing up switches. Here, again, you see the ball goes in the post. It keeps everyone occupied, and we get a post up out of it, an ISO post. Okay, so here, C.J. Leslie goes to the post, Fred Van Vliet and Will Sheehy split, Eddie Tavares dives, Caboclo lifts, and teams are switching this because this is where scouting obviously still comes into play. You want to know how they're going to handle your post-splits action. So we knew what teams were doing, if they were going to stay with Brady Heslip because he was such a good shooter, or if they were going to switch it. So here we see, oh man, I apologize, guys. We see the ball goes in. Your big man sets it and slips. They stay with Brady. They don't switch it, and he can attack off the splits action. Now this is where I'm talking about being more creative with it, and I do think you're seeing more teams in the NBA do this now. Different post splits action. So I came over believing back screens with shooters is great because the teams have to make a decision. Back screen with a shooter, you either go with the big going to the rim or you stay with your shooter, but you can't do both. So you'll see it here. We go back screen, split screen, right? The ball goes into the post, back screen. They have to make a decision. They help on the back screener. Split screen, they go with them, and then you get the slip out of it, right? So I think you see more teams doing things like this. Here we went cutter from the top, stay spaced on the backside, okay? So there's a million things you can do, but again, here we go splits on the strong side, flare on the backside, and you're gonna get a wide open look, and then a second flare up top. So we knew they're doubling from the baseline on Ariel. He's got to find somebody. Okay, again, here, split screen, stay spaced on the backside because they're doubling from the low side. So again, this is where scouting comes in a bit, right? Flare the 45 on the weak side, stay spaced. They're doubling from the low man. You're going to get a wide open look there. But I just think rather than doing the same thing over and over, right? Back screen, shooter, split screen, inbounder, get an open look up top. You have to mix it up. You got to mix up the different things you want to do. So again, these guys go stagger away, right? I think this is where you'll see a lot of different examples. They flare, pin, right? Different examples. And what you're getting more often than not is an ISO for the post up. Now they hold and they stagger with the weak side corner, right? Get a slip, and if he doesn't fumble it, it's a wide open look. They go splits, they bring him back, and they re-split the same guy again, okay? Just a lot of active cutting and different ways to go split screen. So here, you'll see they stagger away with the weak side 45 guy, where they split with him and they flare the corner, kind of what you saw us do. So I think the main thing I'm saying here is that I've seen a lot more creativity on the post stuff. And here you see a bunch of action and they have to go ISO in the post because they can't leave shooters. So you'll see it here. They flare and they stay in the corner, and you can't really help because you're worried about the corner guy. Again, goes in the post, split screen, slip it, catch them sleeping because they want to switch the split and they're not sure. Forces the teams to communicate. Now you go jet cut and you go stagger away, right? And it's just, again, most of these don't look like they're not all working perfectly, but it's just different ways to do things that I think I want to show that I've learned since I've been over here, because I think it's really important to watch all these different teams and find what fits your personnel. So we'll go on from here. This is the last thing I'll talk about offensively, the elbow high splits that I think, there's different ways. Again, this is like post splits, take advantage of switches. So the guards come together at the elbow. This one, you'll see our guy slips it and takes advantage of their switch. See again here, we slip it. They both go with the slip. Then they go under on a shooter and we rescreen, and it's terrible defense, but it causes confusion. Here you see we go splits, and it's really an ISO at this point because they're so worried about the splits. It's an ISO for my big man up top, Ariel, and he gets fouled attacking the basket. We go slip, curl, nothing's there. It just creates some movement, and then you stagger your best shooter out the backside. And these guys just did this on their own out of this elbow high splits action, right? Again, they come together. You're seeing a lot of our guys slip it to mess with the tag, mess with the switch, and you get a wide open three out of it. Here, we put a little wrinkle in, same play, right? And now it's into the horn side look. And they're so worried, they switch, they don't switch, they go under. And then here, lastly, right, we run the same action, come for the handoff, and we run it into like a pistol or a toss look. And we pin the same guy who came off originally. He flares on the backside and gets a wide open three. Okay, so it's just different ways. And then you'll see a lot of teams now running this. Boom, they try and switch it. They jump on the high side. He gets a good slip, and you get some ball movement out of it. So this said, I think this works in the NBA. This works in Europe. This just causes confusion when teams are switching. And it's what I said I love. And we ran a ton of it this year. You see here, they slip it again. Boom, he gets an open look out of it. Because if you put a shooter in the weak side corner especially, it's really tough. Okay, now here's Žalgiris runs it. Back screen, handoff. They run it into the same pistol idea. Right, and they get just some movement. Suck the defense in. Force them to respace. Nigel Hayes hits a tough shot. That's Euroleague basketball. Again, here you're seeing, I said, Lucic is great at this. Lucic sets a back screen. It's really hard. You can't help a ton on him, but if you do, he's a good shooter and a good playmaker. So again, here they throw it, pin down for Lucic. He curls it because he's so big, and Maudalo gets a wide open look. So it's a lot like the teaching in the 5-out set. Now here Žalgiris does a great job. They fake a flare, and it's the same play. Pin in, high splits with guards, get an open look. And then you'll see here Žalgiris. This is great to me. It's so simple, but they run the same look out of their baseline out. So they pop him, they swing it, boom. Now they're in the same high splits look with the inbounder. I think Coach Jasikevicic is an unbelievable tactician. He takes advantage of switches. He knows where the mismatches are going to be, and he's really, really good at finding ways to take advantage of stuff. I've been watching these guys a lot lately. I think he'll be unbelievable at Barcelona. But, I would recommend Fenerbahce and Žalgiris if anybody wants to watch some really good European basketball. And you see again here now, same look out of the side out. The guy who set the zipper screen is going to come back and set the back screen into a high splits look. And they can get right to their plays rather than, running the typical zipper mid pick and roll. So I think I want to get to the defensive stuff. So I'll skip over the shift to tag because it's really just movement, body movement, ball movement. And Enrico, let me know if I'm going too long here. I think you said if I needed to, I could go 2 hours. So
yeah, I'm scheduled for 1.5 hours, so basically 20 minutes. But we still have until I think that's about 2 p.m. Central Time until the next speaker comes on. So you should.
Okay. So I'll just jump into the defensive stuff here, and you let me know if I need to stop. Like I said, I just want to share a ton of stuff here that I've seen that to maybe get people's minds thinking and show you guys some new stuff that I've been lucky enough to be able to see since I've been over here. So defensive concepts and influences I've had. Left defense. I just call it left. The Canadian team, I believe it's Carlton, runs everything to the left. So when we went to 905, Coach Stackhouse decided he wanted to try it. And it really worked. And I decided this year 1, I didn't do it. I used most of the concepts from the pro team.
Is he only frozen for me, or is he frozen for everybody else as well?
He's frozen for me as well.
He's frozen. Me too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So
just give him a second. I'm sure he'll be back.
E10.
Yeah, who knows? It might be Menelik. It might be the same thing that happened with Daniel Sokolowski.
Yeah, he probably just got bumped, and he'll have to log off and log back in type deal.
So we'll see.
20 is about, see, there he goes.
Yeah, so he'll probably.
He's talking about Carlton, right? Everybody who has done anything through Canada ends up talking about Carlton at some point or another, just because of the complete dominance up here.
I'll just write him right quick as well.
I'll pause, David, all you.
Okay, my apologies. You have to re-enable me to screen share.
Okay, all good. Got you set up.
Okay, cool.
Should be good.
Yep. Okay. Let's go back. Of course.
It's funny, David, I'm in Canada. I coach in the CCAA, and I was like, this guy's definitely going to bring up Carlton. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, we did it, we did it with 905 as PowerPoint's, not cooperating here, but we did it with 905, and it really works because, to me, the thing is that players going left, even at the highest level, are not great. They're just not. Or going to their weak hand, I should say. We played Julian Stone in the D League that year, and Julian Stone's a 6'7" point guard who's really good, has NBA experience, and he struggled passing with his left hand. Or we played Josh Majette, who's a lefty, and we stayed with our coverage and forced him left, and he was so used to being forced right that he struggled going left. So again, Stack really liked it, and Nate Mitchell kind of suggested it. Nate's a really good Canadian coach who I had the chance to work with.
Yes,
and
he is.
Nate's really good. It worked. It really worked. And there we go. Perfect. I'll show you guys how we taught it through multiple action drills is what we would call them. And it, like I said, it teaches you how to do every coverage. So I thought what it really did for us was allowed us to switch on the fly. And that's one thing that I think switching your defense is something I'll talk about as I move into the defensive stuff here. Switching your defense consistently is really, I think, something that messes with a lot of teams. I think the Raptors are great at it. Nick Nurse is really, really good at keeping teams on their feet. Almost there.
Sorry to jump in, David, but I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head where it's like, I think that the lock left type defense really works so well because of the passing element. Like a lot of guys can go left and finish to their left.
Yeah.
So very few people are able to go to their weak hand and make a really good pass with that weak hand. And it's just putting guys in trouble areas all the time, right?
Absolutely. That's where Coach Stackhouse was like really big on it. It was more the passing than it was the finishing. And I think I shouldn't say nobody, but most coaches do not teach passing, right? It's something you don't incorporate in your individual workouts for the most part. So I think, like I said, it gets to our wall defense or extended nail. And then it gets to our off-ball switching as well, which you'll see, which I think is one thing NBA teams are not, from my experience, not fully comfortable with. As much as switching as they do on ball, a lot of teams do not switch off ball as much as I think you see in Europe. And it's one thing I really, truly loved. And John Patrick does a great job of teaching it. And we tried to do it with the 905 when we played Maine against Boston's like 5-out delay offense, but we more sat the help side guy in than switching on the slot cut. I think ball pressure is huge. Being super aggressive. It's ball pressure and aggressive defense and pressing and hedging and blitzing. You see way more in Europe. And I've become much more comfortable teaching it. And then I'll get to some zone, some rotating from behind, some special stuff that you see teams do in Europe. So here, real quick, here's how we taught it. And it was a 4-on-4 shell. We called it multiple action. And so you'll see each side had 3 coverages. So the ball is going to the right on a handoff, right? So the ball is going to the right on a handoff. We went under it. And we made sure to mix in the weak side help. So you're teaching your weak side help. Under on the handoff, step up, we would ice it. And we pulled way the hell over with the low man. And it was something we got to eventually, switching big to big if they slipped out. Aggressive on the ice, handoff, now you go to a pin down. And now because he's going to his right hand, you're going to go under. Okay? And then we'll swing it to the weak side. You see 2 new guys sprinting on the help here. Now they're the weak side help. Now the ball is going to his left. So we go over it. Should have given a quick hedge there to make him back up. Now it's a step up, right? So he should go under this, but we kind of were just aggressive with it and heavy stunted. Ball comes to the top. Now it's a pin down. Because he's going to his left hand, we go over, we quick stunt. You'll see it one more time going this way. Go under, going to the right hand. Ice it, going to the left hand. Heavy stunt from the nail. Should have gone under there because he was going right. And then we see one more on the left. We go over it, going to his left. We're up and aggressive, going to the right. Heavy wall. And then we go over, going to his left hand again. Okay? And then we incorporate it live. Right? So this is another drill. I believe Scott Morrison does this with the Canadian national team. I brought it over to my guys. And it's great. Teaches high hands, right? Now you've got here, we're going to send it left. So we get a quick hedge, send it to left. Help, right? Now it's live on the second ball screen. Okay, we send it left. We're weakening it in the middle. And they're playing live off that. Okay? So this is training camp with 905. So this is all new. Again, now we're going to go the other way. Okay, we're going to set a mid first, and we're going to weak it. He's going to snake. We get back because we're so high they can't snake. And now it's a pass and follow, which is really hard to ice. And we would have told him to roll under if he got beat. And now we ice it, and now we play live. 3-on-3 is really tough. When I started doing it this year, I went to 4-on-4 and put a low guy on either block and gave him the option to relocate either way. So it was either going at the 2 or going at the 1. And it brought in the mentality of changing the tag, brought in some randomization to the drill. So you didn't always know what was happening. But again, this was how we drilled our left defense. And now you'll see us teach it or us use it on multiple coverages here. So he's going right, we go under. Now we're weaking, and you see right here, very high wall. In the NBA, your nail help would probably be down here. So little different, high wall, right? Nowhere for him to go. Now we switch the handoff, it's guard to guard, come back up. Now it's an ice, right? And we pull way over, 13 pulls way over to take away the pocket pass. And we force them to use the whole shot clock. Again, heavy nail help there because it's low clock. You'll see it here. Big, we switch, or we get aggressive, sorry, on the ice, I apologize. Goes in the post, comes back out, another pick and roll coming, we ice it, and we should have pulled over more. This man right here should be way more over, but he's there, make him make another kick out, we rotate out, and they step out of bounds. So, again, I think it's just go under, going to the right. I think you can do so many things because you have to hedge, you have to high wall, you have to switch, you have to ice, you got to send different directions, right? We pull in here on the back. We're forcing a guard who's not good going left to go left. We stun out of the corner, and they have to take a bad shot.
Sorry, David, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
On the offensive, first of all, I'm Menelik Fernandez. I know I'm on the Rising Coaches account, so I'm a coach at Fleming College in Canada. On this one, is the hedge on the offensive right side of the floor just to incorporate one extra coverage type, or like I don't really understand how it fits within that system by driving the ball farther up the floor there?
So it's really, you're talking about like over here on this right?
Yeah,
it's really so because a lot of times teams are going to exchange on the weak side, and you don't want to give them a full drive into the middle of the paint. So it just causes them to take one back dribble. So it's really just a quick one-arm hedge, make them think about it, and give your guard time to get back in front a little bit.
So really it has nothing to do with the weakening left defense. It has more to do with the time on the other side of the floor.
Yeah. Protecting the middle of the floor and giving your guys more time to load up on the weak side.
Perfect. Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So you see it here again, right? You're going to get Ariel doesn't give a quick hedge, and you see our nails so low because they exchanged that he really could attack the middle, and you're forced to kind of go like with a two-way stunt, is what they would have called it in Philly. Like, be over, come back, go three different directions. It's really hard to do going against your body. But again, these young teams they really struggle going left, and then late shot clock, we switch and we pull over there. You see one more example here. We weak it, hit the roller. Again, now this player is really good at being high. And then you see our high wall here, really loaded up, higher than you'll see most of the time in North America. He gets aggressive. We could have switched that and flipped it out, but instead they throw to the corner, and we get a pretty good contest late shot clock there. So then, like I said, you build that in because when you're icing or you're sending to the middle, you've got to have a really high nail or high wall or extended shell, however you want to call it. So this is something that I'll never forget. Day one of practice, I was teaching like the NBA with the nail help, and John Patrick came in and told me, no, we want to really extend it to be super aggressive. So it's something that I've learned a lot since coming over, and I've become more comfortable with. Right, so your help is much higher than you would see, much more aggressive. You got three guys on the ball, right? And they and you can get 9 and 12 to switch there. Like 9's rotating out. They try and slot cut it, but he gets a hand on it. And our corner man there, you'll see had pulled in, which you'll see on the next clips, we would switch this cut anyways. We would switch with our low man on the slot cut. Okay, you see the high wall there. You see the help from the big. They should switch it big to big, but this man right here who's so high is lucky. He gets a hand in there and we take it away. So it's always three. You're forming a wall, which is why we call it wall defense. 3 guys on the ball is how it should look. Boom, right there. 3 guys on the ball. And then the backside, they push out. And it also helps you if you get beat right. You're going to have help there. So again, Ariel's high, but he doesn't have to be as high as maybe he could be because he doesn't want the roller to get behind. So this man should pull over. He's guarding a non-shooter over there, right? So he pulls over. You get 3 on the ball. You don't get beat behind. And then you force – that was one of the best ones I think, of the year. He stunts high. He's there. He stunts because he's already in, and then he gets out, and you take away the pass. And it forces these teams to have to make another pass, right? That's the whole thing. Make another pass. Now we're over, maybe overhelp a little bit. A good shooting team, we would have got hurt there, but we get high hands like we taught on our 3-on-3, and we get a deflection. Again, it's game planning, right? Bayern Munich's young team was not a very good shooting team, so you could really load up against these guys. And like right there, you get in the passing lane, you're super aggressive, you're much higher than you're going to see in North America. Here, we stunt, we're there, we're a little low, we stunt, we get back out, and then we stunt again off the corner because we know we're always a baseline help team. So if you get too aggressive here, you know you have help behind, he'll rotate, he'll drop. So to me, this wall defense is something I for sure will teach. I think there's an element you can't use in the NBA because the floor is so spaced. There's so many good shooters. But again, right here, 3 guys on the ball. He stunts, he gets back, and you stunt back at him, and he thinks about the shot. He doesn't take it, right? And then we get a good contest on the backside. Low shot clock. 3 on the ball, stunt, get back out. And because the slot cut is late, he makes a great read and gets out to the shooter in the corner instead of automatically switching. These are the last ones here. These are great ones, right? Again, slot cut. They try and take advantage of our high wall. We take the low man, and because we're up so high, we get a hand and deflect it, giving ourselves time to get back to the corner. So here, they don't use it. They come back. The wall's low. This guy really had trouble being high, but because he gets a hand in it, we get a steal. Again, most of these younger teams were not great shooting teams, so we were able to pack the paint more than you could against pros probably. Boom, get a hand in. It's really just a stunting defense, right? And then you'll see it here with some pro teams in Europe. I think they do a great job as well. Barcelona stays high, gets a hand in there, gets the steal. Rather than pushing out as much as maybe you normally would, you see the pro team here with us, MHP, high wall from Nick Babb. He's up in the lane, much higher than normal, right? Much higher than you'll see with most North American teams. Again, this is almost like a next defense. They would bring him up and they would switch out to the corner, which they do there. But that's more of the Spanish next defense, but it's being much higher. I think, like I said, it's something I wasn't really comfortable with before I came over to Europe. You'll see it here again. Tyler Harvey gets really high, stays high, doesn't worry about staying with his man, and stays in the driving lane. And then they switch guard to guard on the ball and force him into a late clock. So then, like I said, incorporating that, the next step for us is switching slot cuts. Again, so these clips should be shorter. You see here, this is kind of a really trusting the man below you here. They slip it, we switch it, it's a little low, but we pop back out and get the steal there. This is a pretty good one. We're in our high wall. They look to attack, right? They flare. We just switch the flare, and we get back in contest. Sorry for this footage here. You see here, they're going 45 cut on the strong side. We switch, and then it's big. It should have been, it's another switch, and you just basically take them out of everything they want to do. We're, again, a baseline help team. Make them use more of the clock here. Backside, boom, pin down, switch the slot cut, get up in the lane, go under because he's going right, and then we try and ice it, and we get super aggressive on a young player, and he throws a terrible pass. Here we're switching guard to guard. Backside, they slot cut. We switch it with our big, doesn't matter. He gets out. We're in our baseline help there, and then we come over low, and they make a crazy layup. But you've used them to force them to use the shot clock. Again, wall, slot cut, communication. You can see that there from our low corner guy. He's pointing out. We switch it, make them throw it back the other way. We gamble a little bit, but force a tough shot. Okay, so I think this switching slot cuts, you'll see Phoenix Phoenix has a Serbian coach, Darko, who was over in Europe a ton. And they're one of the teams I've noticed that switches the slot cut. Okay? So boom, slot cut, switch it, switch on the ball, and you kind of make them make another pass. Now they get burned on this one here. Rubio switches. They get too aggressive on the ball. Chicago gets lucky, and they skip it out to the weak side. But this switching the slot cut is really, I think, something that teams can use more and more in the NBA. Again, you're not worried about this guy because you know your baseline help is there. They switch it, they go under, right? Make them use more of the clock. Pretty simple. They switch again there. Then they get aggressive on the sideline. And I think everyone kind of understands this pretty easy concept, and I think more teams should use it. And then, like I talked about, North American teams are not great at switching or not comfortable switching off the ball. I apologize for this film at EBOM. Enrico, you know this. But this right here, cross screen, down screen, screen the screener, right? So we're going to flip out, we call it flip, with our backside guy, which gives us a more of an ability to tag instead of having to fight so much over the screen here. So we're supposed to tag heavy, and then this man right here takes the man coming up the nail. And we can take him out of stuff, and you switch right back out to the corner, right? And get a good, you're right in position already to play. Now you see here, this is a little bit of scouting. They're going to stagger away. We just have our top guys stay high. Low man stay low. Middle man stay middle. Boom, boom, boom. Take them out of their offense. They got good at slipping it, so it doesn't matter. They kept their big low. We're just loaded up on the backside. And then we get a steal there, right? You kind of take them out of everything they want to do, or you try to find different ways to take them out of what they want to do. So again, you saw the same action. We switched it. Now we're aggressive on the ball. You see one more clip here against the same team. Boom, they point, they talk, they switch, he slips it. That's okay. Now we've got our wall on this handoff, and we got our backside help. So the spacing's pretty bad, but we're able to get aggressive with stuff like this. So now you'll see, I think Toronto does a pretty decent job of it. And I believe these are the clips I was looking for. This is them pressing, okay? The Raptors pressing and going zone. And they're able to zone up on the backside. But I think it's just, again, like I talked about, switching up your defense. So I apologize. I slipped in their zone defense with the flips here. But I think it's one thing that you'll see teams in the NBA now are more willing to go to a zone defense. And so you see here the Raptors are really good at it just to switch things up, really. They're in a zone. It throws Charlotte off a little bit. Eventually, they figure it out. But in the NBA, it's kind of an amoeba switching because you can't sit in the paint, right? You just can't sit in the paint for as long as you want. They switch there. It's more of a matchup switch zone. But I think it just throws teams off in the NBA. And it's one thing, like I said, I think switching your defense consistently is really important to do. And it's one thing that Nick Nurse has kind of really taught me, keep teams on their feet. So again, you see the zone here. They rotate out. Now you've got a guard inside, get called for a foul. But it's just most teams nowadays have to have a zone offense in the NBA because you're going to see it at some point. But it's something that just a couple of years ago you would not see at all, right? So one more clip here of it, and then I think there's – so if you watch this one here, Nick got a lot of talked about this in the finals a lot, but you see they're in a box and one, right? McCaw is denying Jamal Murray, and this is the same game. They just played a 3-2. So I think the message with all this is really just be open to doing different things, switching your defense up, keeping the opponent on their feet. And Murray gets it, but they're kind of thrown off. There's 4 seconds on the clock by the time he touches the ball. So again, you see it here. Everyone's in a box. McCaw's just loaded up on Murray over here. And like I said, this is the same game. They just played a 3-2 zone. So late quarter, McCaw doesn't switch. They're expecting it maybe. They try and force a switch. They get an open look. It's a pretty good shot, but they've used the entire clock. Here's one thing that I have not seen a ton of teams do that we do a lot, and I really enjoyed it. And it's easy when you run a zipper. Super easy when you run a zipper. But we called it off-ball flips. So the guy guarding the inbounder just takes the guy coming up. The guy coming up with the inbounder takes the ball. And we switch out, and maybe you get a 5 count, right? So that one, we let it come back in. Here you'll see we figured out what they were doing. They come from the weak side. This time we switch it. He switches onto the ball. We deny the entry man, and they throw it away. Okay, like I said, against a zipper, it's super easy to do this. They come up the inside. We don't have to worry about fighting through screens. Now you've got them thinking you're flipping. We don't flip. And they got to look to a different option. So now it's like you're in their head. What are you doing? Are you going to flip or are you not going to flip on the ball? Here we don't do it. We just stunt at it. Oh, we do. I apologize. And we take that one away, right? It's a more aggressive way to play. And you're switching anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, we switch. We let the ball come in. But now we're in our aggressive defense. We're denying. We get up. We get a hand on it, and we get super aggressive on the ball. Now they run some different actions here. All we know is number 9 is taking whoever comes to the ball. And there's no one to throw it to. It's a pretty simple concept. We know he's coming up the gut. We've scouted this play. We can jump out. Now they get it in on the inside. And that wasn't a great example for our guys, but you know where they're going most of the time. You've seen enough of their examples of what they do. Most teams at this age group only have a couple plays anyway. So we get beat back door there, but everything was denied. You see one example now, it's kind of the same thing, same team. They try and go back door, and we take it away. And it's a 5-second count. So again, this is something we did. Now you can see it on the baseline. Our rules are when it goes away from the ball, we go under, and when it goes to the ball, we go over. But we know there's shooters coming to the ball. So we switch on the ball. I think switching out of bounds can get you in trouble. But when you know where you're doing it, right? So here they set the back screen. We don't worry about it because we know they're trying to get Sasha Grant at the rim. And as he curls, we go under it, and we flip out with the inbounder right there. And we take it away, and we stunt, and they have to throw it back, 5-second count. So you see it again here. Now it's same play, same team later in the season. Okay, we bump him. We know we're switching out top, and we know they're not going to be able to make this pass over the top. Last one here. We flip with the inbounder out, take it away, sprint to the ball so there's still pressure on the ball. And if we just saw the ball, that's a steal, right? And you see one example here of Tenerife doing it. They know where the ball is going. Guy guarding the inbounder, boom, flips out, tries to take it away. Davies still breaks to the ball, and they get a look. Go through our press real quick. I know it's a lot of film, guys. I just tried to give as much as I could here. So our press was really to buy us time, and really it was like a stunt and recover press. But you see we've got 3 guys up. We're stunting at the ball, and any pick and roll was a hedge because we don't care if the 5-man gets the ball. We'll let the 5-man bring it up the court. So here you see the 5-man's going to go set the screen, and we just take off. Sometimes I just let my guys take off, and you're stunned at them, you're in their head, they travel. Not the smartest. No, so here now we flip. He ran up with him. The inbounder is supposed to bump out. We flip on the ball. We got 4 guys up, and we get high hands. And it's a super aggressive defense. We don't let them go up the sidelines. That's the main rule. Stun on all pick and rolls, run and jump when they turn their back, keep them in the middle of the court. Right, so here, take away the sideline, trap them on the sideline. We got 1 guy right here, and this man should be pulled over a little bit, right? And they got nowhere to go. Now, I know this is really aggressive if you're in the pros, right? He turns his back here, we run and jump. Maybe they see over, we take away the next pass up. But I think there's a time and place for pressing, no matter what level you're at. Again, here we fake like we're flipping on the ball. We get back. They come up. They overthrow it. 4 guys up. I really wanted 4 guys up. Now, the last guy was back at the rim protecting. So again, super aggressive on the ball, stunting from the next man over. This man should be over a little bit, and then we're taking away the next pass. Okay, and now it's just a stunt. Now we just stunt. Now we switch it, right? They kind of let them play freely. And I told my guys, I don't know how I'm going to be able to teach the communication they had this year because they were unbelievable, right? This one's a stunt. Okay, now he turns his back. Now you go. And then you see the next guys are coming up. And again, we drilled this 3-on-0, 3-on-3, 4-on-0, 4-on-4 to start practice a lot, just to get the ideas back in their heads. At the start of practice, we always want to be aggressive. Now here, we don't run and jump. We just stunt, but you're in their heads. They think you're coming, right? They think you're coming every time. So here he's stunning. He just goes on his own because we don't care. That's the 5-man. It doesn't really matter if the 5-man brings it up. What's he going to do? Most 5-men are not Ariel Hukporti. Again, here you see Bayern Munich really, really struggle with our press. It's why we beat them this year. We run and jump the guy. There's no one. They just run away from the ball. You get an 8-second count. Okay. Give one more example here. Fake the flip. We stay loaded up. Boom. He goes on his own. We've got another. He's going to rotate over. He's going to rotate over. Boom. He rotates. Okay. That's fine. Now they use the shot clock. They use 8 seconds of the shot clock. We're up. We're stunting. It's a hedge to a switch. And you don't see it here. The next guy is just waiting, baiting him to throw this pass, and we get a nice steal. Okay, so I think, to me, there's room for this stuff at every level of the game. And I think more and more you see European teams do it, mainly to slow down the other team's offense. And then NBA teams, like Nick Nurse is using the press. NBA teams are using it. I think, like I said, time and place to use it. One of the last things I'll show you is a blitz in the pick and roll. So again, I like to be aggressive and switch the defense, okay? So we would choose one guy that was killing us every game to blitz. This guy right here led ANGT, averaging 35 a game. So we just said, take the ball out of his hands. And you deny the first pass over and you load up on the weak side. So everyone's seen a blitz, but I think, again, you've seen now, I've shown clips from this game where we were lefting it, clips from this game where we're pressing, clips where we're switching everything. And now we're hedging. So you just keep the defense on their feet. You load up in the middle. You take away some passes. Right here, we're trying to keep him left, and we just come up and we jump him, right? And then 0 runs up and takes this pass away, and we're denying this next pass over. Okay, so they get it out. It's a tough shot. But, again, you're going to live with some of those if you're going to be extremely aggressive like this, okay? He knows the blitz is coming. He tries to go right, and we get active hands, and he knows we're coming after him, right? It's been the whole game. We're just attacking. Now against Bayern Munich, Sasha Grant, who's been a highly touted young player, boom, blitz him. He's not a point guard. He doesn't want to be a point guard. Get the ball out of his hands. So, like I said, we tried to do this here and there and get these guys thinking on, like, not knowing if we're coming, if we're not coming, if we're just icing it, if we're going to wall it. Again, here, Jason George, another highly touted young German player. Trap him, make him do something else, scramble out of it. And like I said, that teaching I showed you at the beginning, the multiple action drill, you can work on all that stuff in that drill. All of this can be taught with one drill. And then you go live out of it. And then, like I said, we played fast, play fast, always play fast. Trap him here, boom, run, okay, get high hands. And then lastly, Len Shorman, who's also talked about on the NBA radar, we come up late, boom, we trap him. They say he's a point guard. We wanted him to prove it, okay? So switching your defense consistently, I think, keeps the other team on their feet. It keeps you guys aggressive. Oh, by the way, that's one of the examples I'm talking about, that this is called an unsportsmanlike foul because the guy tripped. Something you got to get used to in Europe. Okay, and then we
doing
talked
this
about
for
the
weeks.
zone, rotating behind. I won't do that. So here's one thing I know works in Europe and works in the NBA. We called it circle. A lot of people have seen it with Boston. These are some special situations. Late game, we needed a steal in Toronto. He takes the rim. He takes the corner. He takes anything coming to the ball. He takes anything going out top, and you switch it all. Switch, switch, switch. Take your zone. We got this steal. This was a huge win for us in Toronto. Pat Patterson hits the shot. This was the year we ended up playing Brooklyn in the playoffs. So then this is a Euroleague ANGT tournament. We're down by 3 to Valencia late in the game. I put it in on the spot, switch, play your zone, and then they don't do anything on the backside, and we take that back spot and we take it away. And we missed a wide open layup to win the game. So this is the highest youth level, by the way. Again, we try it. This is Euroleague this year. We try and switch. Number 9 should just be facing the ball. We switch anything coming up. And then right here, this is where we got to take him. So you've got to let 7 know to switch right here. They don't switch it, and they get the ball in. And it was, I've watched it 100 times. It was 4.6. And then here again, one example of what not to do in it. We do a great job switching. This is the playoffs last year against Bayern Munich. 14 comes up too high. He's supposed to take this backside, and they just throw it right over his fingertips. Okay, so now you see Real Madrid try and use it. Same example, but they don't do a good enough job. You can just face guard in this defense and not let it come in. So that's one special situation I think is great. One other thing, I'll talk for maybe 2 more minutes here, is Žalgiris. Does an unbelievable job, and Ryan Pannone pointed this out again, so I got to give him credit. And then I see it. They are in man. As soon as it goes in the post, they go 2-3 zone. Every time the ball goes in the post, they go 2-3 zone. And it's just a way to keep a team on their feet, right? What the success rate is, I don't know. But again, right here, they switch. It goes in. You see right here, he drops. They point, they talk, they're in his zone. Baseline help. And they just know, as soon as the ball goes in the post, we're going zone. They're already in position for it right here. But they drop a little lower and they get their hands up, and now they rotate out of it, right? So I think it's something against, now they do it against Munich, right? You see they're clearly in a 2-3 zone, and it throws the other team off. It's late clock in this situation. They're not sure what to do. And it's something I think to keep defenses on their feet. And then one thing they do unbelievable out of it, again, this one I really don't know what the success rate is, but when they get a switch they don't like, they switch, guard on a big, watch number 4 right here. I've never seen a team do this. They just stunt like crazy. They get a bad switch. They get something they don't like. They want to force that guy to give up the ball. Crazy stunts from both sides. Make him think about it. Make him give up the ball. Now, Vilnius knows them, so they know what they're doing, so they don't really give it up. But it's just this run and stunt, and it's, again, just something that you're not used to. You don't see something like this ever. I haven't seen any other team do it to this aggressiveness. And it's crazy. I mean, look, they got 3 guys on the ball just leaving their men wide open. But you force them to use more of the shot clock and to make decisions. So it's something that I don't know if it works. But Kimki really struggled with it in this game that I watched here.
David, quick question. KJ, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, perfect.
Coach, in regards to the switching defense, post-up defense, when it goes to 2-3, is that on all post-ups, or is that strictly on lower mismatches, like a guard against a big?
So from what I've seen from them, they did it against almost every team. I didn't see him do it against Fenerbahce, who's really big and is really good at cutting, as well as the stunting defense. But I would say almost it didn't matter if it was a switch or not a switch. They just drop into a 2-3 to kind of throw you off your game. And I think it's because Žalgiris is one of the lowest budget EuroLeague teams. So I think he tries to get super creative with what he does. That's my take on him from what I've heard from other people.
I gotcha. because this reminds me of something similar that Panoon talked about in his presentation, where they will go zone on certain horn sets, right? If it's a flex, any big to guard back screen. So
Right.
I like that idea in conjunction with zoning in the post to just kind of, mess with guys.
Yeah, I think Coach Jasikevich just does an unbelievable job of keeping people on their feet. Offensively as well. I didn't show any of it, but offensively, he's got some wrinkles that are unbelievable.
No, offensively, he's a savant.
Yeah.
So David, we're going to have to jump off. So if anybody has another question, you can go ahead and ask another question. But we'll probably keep it to one or two, and otherwise we will have to jump off really quick. So if there are any questions, just go ahead and ask. And yeah.
Appreciate it, David. Thanks, Rico.
Hey, David,
Yeah.
how do you defend shooters?
What's up, Ross?
How you doing?
How do you defend shooters? We switched everything this year. We switched. We pushed out on the backside, and we let Ariel protect the rim.
And how did you close out on shooters?
So I think there were only so few of them this year that were really, really dangerous. But, I was big on the guys knowing who to run off. So if you were a knockdown guy, I think we tried to push out as much as we could. We tried to X out on the backside if we had to. And then if we were closing out to them, as you know from coaching the younger guys, they always close out too short. So it was really just a continuous reminder, close out to the body and make them make another play. So either run them off completely, fly by and get back in the play, or get to their body and make them put it on the floor and make them uncomfortable.
Did you have an emphasis of what hand did you close out on? If they were right-handed?
So we did it. We closed out, righty, you close out with the left, lefty, you close out with the right. I am not a huge believer in the fact that it makes any difference, but we did it because the pro club did it and John really believes in it. But from being with, Toronto, Kyle Lowry and Dwayne Casey had a very heated argument about that one time. Case thought it was really important. And for those of you who don't know, Dwayne Casey and John Patrick coached together in China, or against each other rather, in Japan 20 years ago. So that conversation, I think, stems back to there. So certain coaches believe in it. I don't know if it's all that important. I think it takes away some of your instincts and your reaction time of how to get there when you have to think about what hand to close out with.
So, all right, we will have to cut us off now. So thank you for coming in today. And yeah, it was great. It was great. Thank you.
Yeah. So thanks for having me, Enrico. Sorry I went so long. I just tried to load it up as much as I could with it. It's 2 years of knowledge, so try and throw everything in there for you guys.
Great job, David.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
That was amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, David.